Hey y'all, Moses here. Today I want to talk about game sense and decision making in PLAYERUNKNOWN'S Battlegrounds. I'm going to say right now that this guide is going to be very subjective, mainly due to the fact that everyone who plays PUBG has different levels of skill and experience, and everyone plays the game differently. I'm going to do my best to provide insight on my personal method of decision making, and perhaps you can use some of that information to add to your game however you play it. Fair warning, you may not agree with what I'm about to say, and that's okay. The great thing about PUBG is that there is no one way to play the game, and the best way to improve is to just put time in and learn from your mistakes. So with that said, let's get started. First, I'm going to define game sense in its simplest terms. Game sense is intuition relating to the circumstances in the game that you cannot immediately see or control. For instance, game sense would be the anticipation that a player may be hiding or positioned in a certain way, or how they might react to gunfire, enemy movement, or the shrinking of the circle. Essentially, look at the game as an intangible thing comprised of many different variables, most of which are learned through experience, but can also be learned through examining your own mentality and actions in the game. I've had many moments where I've been moving along and have had the inclination to check a house or hold for a moment, only to ignore that intuition and suffer a frustrating death at the hands of the enemy I had anticipated. In order to understand that inclination, you must understand the first point I'd like to make in relation to game sense, and that is to project your own mentality onto your enemies. An example of this would be a rock or building at the edge of the safe zone. This is a highly attractive area, and your first thought may be to run directly there to take up position. It would be realistic to assume that someone else may have already taken that position, and you should approach it cautiously. Be on the lookout for enemy players. One thing to note, it's easy to gain an advantage over someone who assumes they're safe and who may not expect you.
Fucking dope. Oh, Jesus. Shit.
This same method can be applied to movement. If you are in a position that is disadvantageous and are having to move a large distance to get to the next safe zone, anticipate that other players may be moving in the same direction and be very careful to check your surroundings as you move. This may seem simple, and it sometimes is. However, the nuance of timing is important here as well. If you have a significant distance to cover, it may be wise to wait longer than necessary, and then use a boost item to close the gap behind the bulk of enemy players who may have moved earlier. This is more strategy than sense, but those two things often go hand in hand.
It's okay. Smoke me. I don't know if you can see me.
I'm now going to show a few clips of my gameplay where I apply some of these principles, so as to easily illustrate using all available information and mixing in some of that magic game sense to achieve success. The first example is how to gain the upper hand over someone who has an advantageous position. Here we have someone who is firing at players from the second story of this building. I know that if I approach on foot, this person will hear my footsteps and could react quickly. A red zone appears on top of us, and I know that the sounds of the explosions will do a good job of masking the sound of my footsteps. This next clip takes place at the end of a game. I have an extremely good position up against this bunker, and I know from the sounds of gunfire that almost all players are downhill near the yellow house. There is space to my left and to my right down the hill, and I need to manage both directions while on the move. As I move, I take fire from player 2 from my left, but again know that there is going to be player 3 on my right as well. I do not return fire, and I know that player 3 on my right will be looking for the sound of the shots fired at me by player 2. I have to use that to my advantage, as I assume I haven't been spotted by player 3. That might seem a bit confusing, but let's watch it play out.
How you do it?
I frequently get asked about combat decision making, specifically about when to engage with a player and when to allow them to pass by or to evade. This is something I struggle with as well. I've thought about it, and I believe there are 3 main factors to consider. 1. Understand that as soon as you fire, any other nearby players may investigate, and if you're unable to decisively eliminate your target, will you be double teamed or sandwiched? Check your surroundings for other players if given the chance before engaging. 2. Depending on the stage of the game, you may be under pressure by the circle. Beginning an engagement and wasting valuable time can get you stuck outside the circle and could cost you the round. Anticipate what path the player may take to safety and follow them. Often players will stop as soon as they reach the safe zone. I frequently take out players when this happens because they fail to look behind them and assume they are safe. This idea applies in reverse. Always check behind you for late players coming into the safe zone behind you. 3. Before engaging a player, anticipate that you will need to land up to 6 shots to eliminate them with an AR. Don't shoot early and allow your target to evade and return fire. Examine your own position and consider where you might need to move if things don't go well. An example of this would be observing a player when you're both in an open field. If they can reach cover before you can, you may find yourself in a situation where you have lost all advantage and potentially the round as well. The underlying theme here is patience. In PUBG, patience and understanding are absolutely fundamental to success. Don't give away your position by moving unnecessarily, and don't assume that every person you see must die immediately. Take your time and try recording yourself to review your rounds to see where you can improve. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I wasn't entirely sure this concept would translate into a good video, but I hope I did a good job explaining some of the concepts I use when I play. The main thing I'd like to underline here is that PUBG is a unique and interesting game. Every round is different, and there is a good chance that what I talked about here may not apply to you or your playstyle. That's totally fine. Understanding and learning to hone your own personal style can lead you to success just as well as trying to emulate someone else. Making mistakes and learning are the best way to build your game sense and ultimately will make you a better player. If you like this video, please hit the like button and share it with your friends, as those types of things are a main factor in the growth of this channel. Also, if you'd like, please leave a comment down below. I do read all of them, and I often take suggestions from you guys as to what video to create next. As always, you can visit me on Twitch at twitch.tv/wtfmoses. Again, thank you for watching and for your likes and comments, and until next time, I'll see you out there.